Well, it was a priority to be part of this event on global partnerships and research for a couple of reasons. One is that research in the area of brain health generally and specifically in psychiatric disorders and mental health is critical because for several reasons. One is we need better treatments, better cures, better approaches. We do for all medical conditions. But I think there's also a need for more hope. One thing that I think other disorders like cancer, for example, have done is they've really harnessed the value of research to give people living with those conditions hope that one day there'll be better cures, there'll be better pathways to health. And I think we've kind of under-delivered and under-positioned on that in the area of mental health specifically, but also I think brain health more generally. And we tend to have kind of a negative dialogue, so we need to shift the dialogue into a more hopeful direction. But I think there's also a practical reason why we need to be coming together globally, and that's because compared to some of these other health conditions, we have so much less research going into our area. So we need to come together to make the best use of the research we have, the research funding that we have, I should say, to be able to lift up best researchers from around the world so we can benefit all of us globally from that and really work together more, both from a resource perspective, but also from an inclusion perspective. Because we're really not going to come up with the best answers for brain health, for mental conditions, unless we really have people involved from all different nationalities, all different cultures, to be able to, genders, to participate in the research. So I think the partnerships are essential pragmatically as well as to have the best research possible. The reason global collaboration is so successful is that we don't have the resources in any one place to move as fast as we need to forward. It's essential because we don't have the expertise and inclusive participation of individuals in the research in any one place sufficiently. And then I think also we have the same challenges. I mean, we are all confronted with the fact that most mental health disorders begin in childhood and in adolescence. And so because we have these common challenges compounded, by the after effects of the COVID pandemic, there's a sense of urgency. And so if we just wait until we figure these things out in our different countries, not only are we going to go slower, but a lot of people are going to needlessly suffer and frankly, die from untreated or poorly treated mental health conditions. Well, I think there's so many areas for collaboration that we need to do some prioritization. And I think there's a couple that I would argue make sense to start with. One of them is to really address the fact that these are mental health conditions are primarily conditions of pediatric origin. They begin, half of them before the age of 14, another quarter of the conditions by the time your brain stops developing in your mid-20s. So 75% of the illness burden begins in childhood, and yet we wait until adulthood to begin addressing these conditions. And so if we're going to actually deliver on the promise of more effective treatments, better outcomes for patients, we're going to have to get ahead of the decade that we wait now between symptom onset and giving people care. So I think that's one of the top priorities. I think another priority we need to look at is how do we build the infrastructure, not just for research, but for being able to speed the findings of research into practice. And that includes having better infrastructure within our health systems for the delivery of mental health services, which right now is highly fragmented, not integrated well into primary care, not grounded in measurement-based care, precision medicine that prioritizes data and ongoing measurement. We have to change that culture of service delivery if we're going to really be able to realize the promise of research. So I think being able to build those partnerships between the whole array of researchers and healthcare delivery systems is also an area, I think, of potential near-term synergy.